You know, there's something deeply uncomfortable about money that most people refuse to admit. It's not that they don't earn enough. It's that they think earning more will save them from thinking less. And that belief quietly ruins lives. Benjamin Graham understood this long before credit cards became normal and before lifestyle upgrades were marketed as self-care. He saw something most people miss. Money does not reward effort alone, it rewards judgment. I've watched intelligent people make the same mistake over and over again. Good degrees, respectable careers, rising incomes, and yet somehow constant anxiety. They wake up tired, not because they work too hard, but because their money works against them. They live inside a system they built without ever questioning the logic of it. Bigger paycheck, bigger life, bigger pressure. No pause, no margin, no safety. Graham believed that the real danger in finance isn't ignorance. It's confidence without discipline. When people feel successful, they stop thinking defensively. They assume growth will protect them. They assume tomorrow will be kinder than today. And that's when the cracks begin. Not dramatically, quietly, slowly, one payment at a time. Here's the truth most people never want to hear. You cannot earn your way out of bad behavior. If you spend without thinking, more money simply helps you do it faster. If you avoid numbers, higher income just hides the problem longer. Wealth doesn't fix weak habits. It exposes them. I've seen people double their salary and somehow feel poorer than before. Not because life became harder, but because their obligations multiplied faster than their awareness. New house, new car, new standards. Everything looks reasonable when viewed alone. But together, they form a trap that feels comfortable right up until it closes. Graham used to say that safety doesn't come from prediction. It comes from preparation. Most people do the opposite. They predict promotions, bonuses, market growth, and future success. Then spend as if those predictions are guaranteed. They design lives that only work under perfect conditions. That's not optimism. That's fragility, and fragility is expensive. The uncomfortable reality is this. The amount of money required to live peacefully is far lower than people imagine. Peace doesn't come from luxury. It comes from margin, from knowing that one unexpected expense won't force panic, from knowing you can pause without everything collapsing. That's not poverty, that's power. But modern culture hates that idea. It sells excitement, not endurance. It celebrates upgrades, not stability. Living below your means is framed as failure, when in truth, it's one of the most intelligent financial positions a person can occupy. When your expenses are low, your options expand. When your obligations are small, your stress shrinks. Most people don't actually want freedom. They want validation. They want their life to look successful, even if it feels fragile. They'll trade long-term peace for short-term approval without realizing the cost. Graham saw this pattern repeatedly. People mistook consumption for progress, and when reality corrected them, it was unforgiving. The mathematics of money are cold but fair. They don't care how hard you worked. They only record what you kept. If you earn a lot and save nothing, the numbers treat you the same as someone who earned little and spent everything. The illusion of wealth disappears the moment income stops. That's why Graham emphasized something most people ignore: the margin of safety. In investing, it protects you from being wrong. In life, it protects you from uncertainty. And uncertainty isn't rare, it's guaranteed. Jobs change, health changes, markets change. Only your structure determines whether those changes break you. Most people build lives that demand constant motion. Miss one paycheck and the anxiety begins. That's not living. That's running on a treadmill that never slows down. And the faster you run, the more it demands from you. There's a strange irony here. The more people earn, the more they fear losing it. Because they've attached their identity to a standard of living they can't easily let go of. That fear doesn't come from lack of money. It comes from lack of control. Graham believed rational living required subtraction before addition. Remove unnecessary obligations. Remove emotional spending. Remove the belief that comfort must be visible to be real. What remains is clarity. And clarity is rare. If you want to understand your financial position honestly, ask yourself one question. If income stopped tomorrow, how long could life continue calmly? No panic, no desperation, just adjustment. For most people, the answer is frighteningly short. And yet, they keep adding commitments as if stability were guaranteed. That's not bad luck. That's poor design. People think discipline is restrictive. In reality, it's protective. It shields your future from your present impulses. It creates space between desire and action. And in that space, intelligence lives. Without it, even the smartest person becomes financially reckless. Benjamin Graham didn't teach people how to get rich quickly. He taught them how not to be destroyed slowly. And that difference matters more than most will ever realize. Because wealth isn't about how impressive your life looks today. It's about how quietly it survives tomorrow. Most people never stop to ask a harder question. Not how to make more money, but why they keep feeling behind no matter how much they earn. Benjamin Graham would say the answer is simple, but not comfortable. They confuse motion with progress. As long as they are busy, upgrading, earning, spending, they assume they are moving forward. But motion without direction is just exhaustion. There is a quiet moment in every person's financial life where the truth becomes visible. It usually comes late at night, when the house is silent and the numbers don't lie anymore. The income looks impressive. The lifestyle looks successful. But the margin is thin. One disruption, one mistake, one pause, and the entire structure starts shaking. That's when people realize they didn't build security. They rented it. Graham warned against this illusion. He understood that stability cannot depend on constant performance. Anything that requires uninterrupted success is fragile by design. A life that only works when everything goes right will eventually fail. Because life doesn't cooperate that way. Markets fall. Employers change their minds. Bodies slow down. Only those who prepared for imperfection survive it calmly. The tragedy is that people often see the danger, but ignore it. They sense the pressure rising. They feel the dependence growing. But instead of stepping back, they double down. They chase the next raise, the next bonus, the next opportunity, believing more income will finally bring relief. It rarely does. More income often just finances a bigger version of the same anxiety. Benjamin Graham believed that money should reduce stress, not amplify it. If earning more makes you more afraid of losing it, something is wrong. That fear is a signal. It means your lifestyle is outpacing your resilience. You're not building strength. You're building sensitivity. What most people don't understand is that wealth is not acceleration, it's endurance. The ability to remain calm when things slow down. The ability to absorb shocks without panic. That kind of strength doesn't come from income alone. It comes from restraint. Modern society treats restraint as weakness. It celebrates spending as confidence and borrowing as ambition. Living modestly is framed as settling. But Graham saw the opposite. He saw that people who live below their means gain a rare advantage. They gain time to think, time to choose, time to walk away from bad decisions without desperation. Time is the one asset money is supposed to buy. Yet most people trade it away without noticing. They lock their future hours into payments, subscriptions, and obligations that bring little lasting value. They commit their time before it even arrives. And once committed, it's hard to reclaim. There is a reason Graham emphasized patience so heavily, not because waiting feels good, but because impatience is expensive. Every rushed decision in finance carries a hidden cost. Impulse purchases, emotional investments, lifestyle upgrades made to satisfy ego instead of logic. Each one looks harmless alone. Together they form a permanent drain. People often ask why intelligent professionals struggle financially. The answer isn't lack of knowledge. It's lack of boundaries. Intelligence without self-control doesn't protect you. It just helps you justify bad decisions more creatively. You can explain almost any purchase if you want it badly enough. Rationalization is easy. Discipline is rare. Graham believed that discipline wasn't about deprivation. It was about alignment, making sure your spending matched your values, not your impulses. Most people never define their values clearly, so they default to what's visible, popular, and socially rewarded. That's how they end up financing lives they don't actually enjoy. A person who understands money deeply doesn't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "What does this cost me long term?" Not just in dollars, but in flexibility, peace, and attention. Some expenses demand more than money. They demand commitment. They demand worry. They demand future effort. Those costs are rarely shown on receipts. This is where Graham's thinking becomes uncomfortable. He believed that avoiding losses mattered more than chasing gains. In investing, avoiding a major loss gives you time to recover. In life, avoiding financial overextension does the same. You don't need extraordinary success if you avoid extraordinary mistakes. Most people reverse that logic. They chase upside while ignoring downside. They assume growth will bail them out. But growth is never guaranteed. Safety has to exist before opportunity can be enjoyed. Without safety, opportunity feels like pressure, not possibility. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing your life doesn't require constant income to function. That confidence changes how you think. You're not forced to accept every offer. You're not trapped in situations that drain you. You can say no without fear. That ability alone is worth more than many raises. Graham understood that freedom is subtraction before multiplication. Remove unnecessary expenses. Remove emotional decisions. Remove the belief that success must be visible. What remains is a structure that can last. And lasting is the real goal. Not excitement, not applause, stability. People often misunderstand this and assume it means living without enjoyment. It doesn't. It means choosing enjoyment deliberately instead of reflexively. There's a difference between pleasure that refreshes you and pleasure that numbs you. One adds value, the other adds dependency. When spending becomes automatic, it stops serving you. It becomes a habit instead of a choice. And habits, once formed, are difficult to reverse. That's why Graham emphasized awareness. Knowing where your money goes forces you to confront your behavior without excuses. Numbers don't argue. They reveal. Once people truly see their financial picture, something shifts. They stop thinking in terms of monthly comfort and start thinking in terms of long-term resilience. They realize that small changes compound. A little restraint today creates disproportionate calm later. A little patience now prevents major regret later. This is the part most people never reach, because it requires honesty, and honesty is uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that some of your stress isn't caused by the world, but by your own choices. That realization can either break you or free you. Graham believed it was the beginning of wisdom. He often said that the investor's chief problem is likely to be himself. The same is true in personal finance. The enemy isn't the economy. It isn't inflation. It isn't bad luck. It's unmanaged behavior repeated over time. Fix that, and most problems shrink dramatically. The calmest people Graham knew weren't the highest earners. They were the most prepared. They didn't need constant validation from their lifestyle. They didn't chase appearances. They measured success privately, not socially. And because of that, they slept better. A life designed around resilience feels boring from the outside, but from the inside it feels peaceful. You stop reacting to every market headline. You stop panicking over temporary setbacks. You start thinking in decades instead of weeks. That shift alone changes everything. Because once you stop trying to impress the world, you finally have the space to build something that lasts. That space is where rational thinking finally takes over. When you're no longer performing for approval, you begin to see money for what it really is. Not a scoreboard, not a personality trait, just a tool. Benjamin Graham believed that tools should serve the user, not control them. The moment money starts dictating your decisions, your fears, your tolerance for nonsense, it stops being a tool and becomes a master. Most people never reach this realization because they're too busy optimizing the wrong things. They focus on income instead of structure. They chase returns instead of stability. They obsess over market movements while ignoring their own behavior. Graham understood that behavior compounds faster than interest. A small habit repeated for decades shapes outcomes more powerfully than any single investment decision. He watched people panic during downturns, not because markets fell, but because their lives had no buffer. They needed everything to work perfectly. When it didn't, fear took over. Fear leads to bad decisions. Selling at the bottom, borrowing at the worst time, locking in losses emotionally and financially. None of that was caused by lack of intelligence. It was caused by lack of preparation. Preparation is boring. It doesn't create stories worth bragging about. No one applauds a fully funded emergency reserve or modest living expenses. But those quiet choices create something rare: psychological stability. When you're not under pressure, you think clearly. When you think clearly, you avoid disasters that wipe out years of progress. Graham often emphasized that successful investing is not about brilliance. It's about temperament. The same applies to personal finance. Temperament determines whether you stay rational when emotions are loud, whether you stick to principles when temptation is everywhere, whether you delay gratification even when society encourages instant reward. The world is designed to pull money out of your hands as fast as possible. Every platform, every advertisement, every notification is engineered to bypass logic and trigger emotion. If you don't defend yourself deliberately, you will lose by default. Not dramatically, gradually, one small concession at a time. This is why Graham respected simplicity. Simple systems are harder to break. Low fixed expenses, clear priorities, automatic saving, long-term thinking. These don't rely on constant motivation. They work even when you're tired, distracted, or uncertain. Complexity feels sophisticated, but it often hides fragility. People assume wealth comes from taking bold risks. In reality, it comes from avoiding stupid ones. Graham believed the biggest gains come from not losing. If you stay in the game long enough, compounding does the heavy lifting. But you can't compound if you're constantly resetting to zero. There's a subtle shift that happens when someone truly understands this. They stop chasing financial excitement. They stop needing to feel clever. They stop measuring success by short-term wins. Instead, they ask quieter questions. Will this decision make my future calmer or noisier? Will this choice increase my options or reduce them? Those questions don't produce dramatic moments. They produce stable lives. Over time, something surprising happens. When you don't need money urgently, money starts behaving better around you. You're not forced to sell at bad times. You're not desperate for returns. You can wait. And waiting, Graham believed, was one of the most underrated advantages in finance. Patience isn't passive. It's controlled restraint. It's the ability to sit still while others panic. To do nothing when doing nothing is the correct move. Most people struggle with that because doing nothing feels unproductive. But many fortunes are built not by constant action, but by well-timed inaction. The same applies to spending. Not buying something can be more powerful than buying the right thing. Every dollar you don't spend keeps your future flexible. Flexibility creates opportunity. Opportunity compounds. Graham never believed wealth was about deprivation. He believed it was about intention. Enjoy what you choose, but choose deliberately. Spend where it truly improves your life, not where it signals success to strangers. The quiet confidence of enough is more powerful than the loud anxiety of more. As people age, this truth becomes clearer. Those who chased appearances often end up trapped by them. Those who prioritized resilience age with dignity. They aren't forced to keep running. They can slow down without fear. They built lives that don't collapse when energy fades. That's the real return on rational thinking. Not luxury, not status, peace. Graham understood that peace is the ultimate dividend. It doesn't fluctuate with markets. It doesn't depend on approval. It comes from alignment between your actions and reality. From knowing your life is built to endure, not impress. Most people will never hear this message clearly because it contradicts what they're sold every day. But for those who do hear it, truly hear it, something changes. They stop asking how fast they can grow. They start asking how safely they can live. And once you make that shift, wealth stops being something you chase. It becomes something that quietly follows you over time. That was Benjamin Graham's real lesson. Not how to beat the market, but how to avoid being beaten by yourself.